How to make your printer run longer. Fill an ink cartridge. So basically there's kits you can get to fill cartridges with ink. They comprise of syringe, type of screw driver or drill, handheld. Then you need your old cartridge. Basically you'll have ink that will go into the cartridge, and in this case you use a syringe once you've made the holes clear for the ink to go in. I'm going to be using black ink, and so as you can see there's also some flush to wash out any excess ink. I don't mean out of the cartridge, but basically you fit together the syringe with the needle, and then you're going to fill the syringe with ink and inject it into the cartridge. Now this cartridge, what's a HP Hewlett Packard, has holes already from the first filling when it was made, covered by a sticker. Now you get the syringe, fill it with ink, and then put it in the holes that are there already, so the cartridge becomes refilled. Basically you'll know how much when it starts to spill over. Then you gotta put the sticker back or use alternative stickers or sellotape, but in some cases some kits actually have plugs. In this case I use sellotape and also the previous sticker, and that's about it. You got a cartridge, they set up a line, and then it will work. How to get your hair cut into style quick. You know, might be walking around with an afro for a while, and when you got the afro definitely is bushy, and like it's not the 60s, we're in the year 2011. Now the bushy afro can be shaped up and styled in many ways, but the way I'm gonna do it, as you can see, is, you know, level the sides. You know, if you level the sides, then you'll get some shape, you know. And then the top, you gotta take off the split ends and the uneven hair, what's a bit longer or shorter than the others. And then the back, you gotta neaten up and take off growth. But basically the afro is kicking strong, but it's not the 60s. So what do you have to do? You gotta start to shave it down. That's all, to shave it down. And when you shaved it down, you get the style, and that's about it. It's up to you what you do next. Well, baking bread. You know, bread, water, flour, you know, oven, yeah? Well, I'm going to start with some yeast. Yeast can be bought, what you add to the flour that causes the bread to rise. Now people have different styles, but basically I put the flour, you can put about 7 into a bowl, add the yeast, mix it in, just mix it and mix it until it's molded together. Add salt to your taste. Now you're gonna make sure your oven's gonna be hot before you stick anything in there, so I'll put the oven on, get it ready, and you know, probably a gas mark temperature 6 depending on your oven, but either way have your oven ready hot. But with the yeast, we mix into the flour, add some salt to taste. Some people mix the yeast and salt into water and then add it to the flour, but I'm doing it this way. Now once you've folded over all the ingredients, you'll start to realize that you gotta add the water to make the dough. Now I'm using a kind of beaker, and I'm gonna add water until I get a doughy type of flour. So you add water and mix, add water and mix, add water and mix, and then if you add too much water, you add some more flour and mix, and keep on doing it till you get a consistency till it's like chewing gum. You know, chewing gum that's being used, what you use in chewing. Now basically you have to balance it between water and flour, but in the end, once it binds, you'll know it's working. Well, that's not the end. You gotta realize the flour has to constantly be made to bind. And that's about it when you know when it's tough, when it's solid, it's not falling apart. And that's when you can start to knead it. But basically put some flour on it just so it doesn't stick. You should all know this. If you really want to know, you're nearly making a pizza but you've added yeast without the topping. But here we go with a rolling pin. The rolling pin really will do the work quickly. Some people say use your hands and knead it. Well, the rolling pin does it quick. Some might say that's for a cake. Well, either way, you can make this happen quick. We're talking about time here. We're only making bread. You only buy bread for £1. By the way, the yeast is expensive. But on the other hand, the flour is cheap, depending. So you can get flour for £1.50. You can get yeast for 50p. And you'll know when it rolls into a bowl that you're nearly done of making the dough for your bread. Now I flattened it out, rolled it together, flattened it out, rolled it together, get the air in there, and you know you're making a nice tender. So then you gotta mold it into the shape of the bread that you want. You know, it's up to you. I don't know what bread you want. Some people do plat, some do twist, some do round, some do square, some do rectangle. It's up to you. Depends on how you want to make your bread, or even triangle. Now consider you gotta have some type of baking tin or a baking tray to put this on. Now these are the instruments that you'll use when you're gonna put it in the oven. Not much is it to baking bread, but you can put a little design on the bread. Get a knife and scar it, you know. All you have to do is cut along it softly, add some flour onto it, and your design will be on it. Don't worry about technicalities because you're making bread. As I said, I just put some cuts in squares onto it, so it's basic. I never really try to decorate it any more than that. It's on the baking tray, and my baking tray is flat. Make sure it's clean, wash it before you use it. If you used it before it's been put away for a while, just clean it. Make sure there's no dust, cobs, webs. Now, the bread been baking, say 30 minutes, 25 minutes, 20 minutes checking, and it's done. You take it out. If you hit it with your finger, it should sound hollow. Or if you poke it with a knife, it won't be sticky when the knife pulls out, and it'll be soft when it goes in. It'll actually feel like paper virtually, and that's when you know it's ready. Now I've got a crusty bread, and you can see the design on it and the flour, but I have to tell you it's split. But either way, this is bread, and you can slice it and eat it when you're ready. Once it's cooled down, you know, leave it to cool for 10 minutes, leave it to cool 20 minutes. Now that's the bread. You should be happy with it. Bread is the basic essence, you know. You can add your butter after that when you slice it if you like. You can add your jam, but I'm just going to turn this over and show you the bottom. You see that's browned as well. It's cooked, so it's crusty all over. Now you have to leave it out to air, and so it doesn't go damp when it's hot. So you have to stick it kind of hanging in the air somehow. I don't know, you could put a cup under it, or you could put a bowl under it, you know, just leave it to air so it doesn't stick to the pan. And then you can slice when it's cooled down, and there's 3 slices. So that basically, that's bread, you know, bread, and then you can get your butter for your bread and butter. It tastes sweet when I bit into it. When I took a piece off, bit it was sweet, you know, really sweet. But I'm going to use it for a breakfast, you know, while this is going on. And I'll throw in some milk into a frying pan. Then I'll add some eggs, you know, to make some scrambled eggs. Add some salt and pepper to taste. Can't forget, might as well go all the way. And I say I'll add some cheese. You know, I'll slice up some cheese, chop it up. You could put some grated cheese if you like. And then we're gonna stir this in and scramble. You have to cook till the cheese melts into everything, the egg, into the milk. Most of the milk will dehydrate. So that's gonna be the scrambled eggs to go with the bread. It's not even dinner, it's not even lunch, it's more like breakfast. But you can eat it when you're hungry, as you do with bread. Now you might say, how long do you have to cook the scrambled eggs for? I cook it till it's kind of dried out and it's not sloppy no more. You know, I'll put it on a plate. Then I put some pepperoni under a grill, heat it up and cook it. And stick that on the plate with the bread and the eggs. And that's gonna be the meal. Butter the bread and you're ready to eat. So there we go, how to make scrambled eggs, pepperoni, grilled and bread.